This universe is open to all sorts of possibilities. Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 things we hope to see in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
You have money, right? I'm not very liquid right now.
I think you're gonna be a bad teacher.
Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. For this list, we're taking a look at elements that should be explored in Sony's first animated feature centered on the iconic web-slinger.
I love you, Miles.
Yeah, I know that.
You gotta say I love you back.
Dad, are you serious?
I wanna hear it.
Look at this place.
Dad, I love you.
Dad, I love you.
That's a copy.
Number 10. Don't overdo the world building.
How many more spider people are there?
Save it for Comic-Con.
What's coming? Let's go!
It's common for modern superhero movies to tease future projects set in the same universe. The MCU has mastered the art of world building, providing clever foreshadowing without overshadowing the story at hand.
Mr. Stark, you become part of a bigger universe. You just don't know it yet.
Sony, meanwhile, has a tendency to think more about long-term plans rather than taking it one movie at a time. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 not only built up another sequel, but also a Sinister Six spin-off.
How many men did you have in mind?
I want to keep it small. Everything you need is already at Oscorp.
All future sequels and spin-offs were canceled, though, because Amazing Spider-Man 2 underperformed financially, with many complaining it felt like a glorified preview. Hopefully, Sony has learned their lesson and keeps Into the Spider-Verse mostly self-contained, with just a couple of subtle hints of what might come next.
One thing I know for sure, don't do it like me. Do it like you.
Number 9. Avoid repeating familiar beats. The Amazing Spider-Man was generally well-received, but even the people who liked it admitted that the story felt redundant. There's only so many times we can watch Peter Parker adapt to his powers and cope with Uncle Ben's death. There are also only so many different ways to say,
With great power comes great responsibility.
Spider-Man Homecoming thankfully skipped over most of these familiar beats while still maintaining what makes Spidey special. Into the Spider-Verse will undoubtedly tackle the challenges of being a teenage superhero, but that doesn't mean the filmmakers can't put a fresh spin on certain cliches.
Spider-Man. This guy swings in once a day, zip, zap, zop, and answers the phone. Accountability.
Speed up. I know these kids.
Relatability.
Man, you get arrested? Guys, don't cops run red lights?
Well, yeah, some do. But, not your dad.
Number 8. Phil Lord and Christopher Miller's signature comedy.
This is a song I wrote for Wild Style. Darkness. It's about how I'm an orphan.
With the Lego Movie, directors Phil Lord and Christopher Miller delivered a purely comedic version of Batman that was honestly more fun than some of the character's darker incarnations and led to an amazing spin-off. Miller and Lord serve as producers for Into the Spider-Verse, with Lord also contributing to the story and screenplay.
This fry is your universe. It's soggy, it's weird, it's gross. And this delicious normal fry is my universe.
In their hands, we're expecting a film that's self-aware and playful, but not at the expense of legitimate character development and genuinely heartfelt moments. These are the guys behind the 21 Jump Street reboot after all.
We partied together, man. You bought us Taco Bell.
Eric, honestly, that was a sincere gesture.
Number 7. State-of-the-art animation.
I know it's complicated. You want to know what happened to you? I can teach you to be Spider-Man.
With the Lego Movie, Lord and Miller took the style of a brick film and evolved it to a whole new frontier with CG animation. Lord and Miller strive to accomplish something similar with Into the Spider-Verse, producing a cinematic experience that also captures the essence of a comic book. The filmmakers mixed computer animation with, quote, all sorts of comic book techniques, resulting in a distinctive look that Miller compared to, quote, a living painting. The animators wanted to take full advantage of the medium, telling a story that wouldn't work nearly as well in live action. Based on the 35 minutes of footage shown at New York Comic-Con, we should be in store for a visual marvel.
I see the spark in you. It's amazing. Hands up! Whatever you choose to do with it, you'll be great.
Number 6. Gwen and Miles' relationship.
Hey guys,
Who are you?
I'm Gwen Stacy. I'm from another dimension.
Emma Stone created a smart, strong, and all-around awesome version of Gwen Stacy in the Amazing Spider-Man films. So, as you can imagine, fans were not pleased with how Sony handled her rushed exit in the second film. With the invaluable Haley Steinfeld inheriting the role, we're confident that Into the Spider-Verse can deliver justice for Gwen. What's more, Steinfeld isn't just voicing Stacy, but also portraying the first big screen incarnation of her alter ego Spider-Woman, also known as Spider-Gwen. Seeing as how Gwen and Miles Morales briefly became an item in the comics, there's potential here for an adorable love story as well. Number 5. A Badass Kingpin.
You ever hear of the Super Collider? You're gonna love this.
Vincent D'Onofrio turned in a pitch-perfect portrayal of Wilson Fisk on Netflix's Daredevil. Since Into the Spider-Verse is clearly taking a more family-friendly approach, we're not expecting Liev Schreiber's interpretation to bash in anyone's head with a car door. That being said, Kingpin can still be portrayed as a cunning, ruthless, and menacing foe akin to the version from the 90s animated series.
And you remember, this lab becomes yours if and only if you destroy Spider-Man.
We're just keeping our fingers crossed that Sony doesn't repeat their habit of cramming in too many villains.
This was never your city. It's mine.
If I don't destroy the Collider, none of us will have a home to go home to.
Number 4. A Universe of SpiderPeople.
This could literally not get any weirder.
It can get weirder.
Okay.
Speaking of the 90s cartoon, the show ended on a high note with the Spider-Wars two-parter, which saw Peter encounter other Spider-Men from different dimensions.
Am I going mad? This is the one that's supposed to be our leader? Give me a break.
Into the Spider-Verse shares a similar premise, as Miles, Peter, and Gwen cross paths with a variety of other characters with Spidey senses. Nicolas Cage puts a 1930s spin on Peter as Spider-Man Noir. Kimiko Glenn injects a dose of anime into the equation as Penny Parker. John Mulaney even hams it up as Spider-Ham.
Do animals talk in this dimension? Because I don't want to freak him out.
The roster for the Spider-Verse story arc this film is taking inspiration from was absolutely enormous, so we're hoping for at least a few interesting cameos. Number 3. Cameos from other big-screen Spider-Men. Since this film takes place in a shared multiverse, it could pave the way for other silver screen versions of Spider-Man to appear. It'd be nothing short of epic if Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, and even Tom Holland all reprised their versions of Spider-Man here. These three could either make brief cameos, or perhaps their presence could play a larger role in the story. Since the original Spider-Man trilogy and the Amazing Spider-Man series ended on such sour notes, this would be a clever way to revisit both incarnations and bring things full circle.
I knew you'd come back.
Yeah, thanks for stepping up for me.
There's also room for Spider-Man's many voice actors to make appearances, ranging from Neil Patrick Harris to Drake Bell to Donald Glover.
Don't freak out. Huh? My name is Miles Morales, and I'm Spider-Man.
Number 2, a unique take on Peter Parker.
My name is Peter Parker. I'm pretty sure you know the rest. I saved the city, fell in love, then I saved the city again and again and again.
Over the years, we've gotten numerous versions of Peter Parker through film, television, and comics. In almost every interpretation, he's depicted as a nerdy high school student who gains superpowers, thus having to balance school, romance, and saving the day. Jake Johnson is shaking up the status quo, however, playing a middle-aged Peter who's grown cynical, tired, and reluctant. Even in the film's trailer, Peter sounds like he's sick of hearing about himself and is ready to pass the torch to someone else.
So you want to learn to be Spider-Man?
Can you teach me?
Yes, I can. Time to swing. Good, you're doing it. Double tap to release and whip it out again.
Okay.
Whip
and release.
You're a natural. Whip.
Speaking of which, the mentor-protege dynamic between Peter and Miles should make for a gripping team-up. It'll be especially interesting to see a Spider-Man movie where Peter isn't the main character.
Look, I'm a comic book, a cereal, I did a Christmas album, and a so-so popsicle. But this isn't about me. Not anymore.
Number 1, Miles Morales taking center stage.
My name is Miles Morales. I'm the one and only Spider-Man. At least that's what I thought.
Since Miles Morales was only created in 2011, it makes sense that he hasn't gotten as much mainstream attention as Peter Parker. Miles has come into his own in the comics though, and we couldn't be more ecstatic to finally see him take center stage in a theatrical film, even if we're still waiting for an MCU version of the character. Shameik Moore voices Miles in Into the Spider-Verse, marking the most high-profile role of his career. For anyone who's starting to develop fatigue for Spider-Man, Moore's performance as Miles could very well bring a new energy and outlook to the long-running franchise. After all,
what makes you different?
Let's go!
Is what makes you Spider-Man.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out these other great clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.